Hey everybody, it's Brandon McGee again at the McGee Law Firm, and we're going to continue discussing the importance of preparing for your burial, your funeral, or your cremation. In the last segment, we discussed having the form, the authority for disposition of last remains and burial and funeral instructions to appoint the family members in order of preference to handle that. We're now going to talk about the importance, in my opinion, of having a prepaid plan. Now, what are the reasons that we want to prepay for our burial, funeral, or cremation? Well, I think there's several that are all pretty important. Number one is you're not leaving the burden on maybe your adult children, for example, to come up with the funds at the last minute. Now, keep in mind, some people, obviously, they have a prolonged illness and then they pass. There's time to prepare. Many people out there, my father, for example, who passed suddenly, traumatically, and everybody is in a big emotional whirlwind. So that's why we want to be prepared when you end up in that emotional whirlwind. You're leaving your kids in a position where they don't have to come up with the money within 5 days. They don't have to argue with each other over who's going to pay for it, who's going to contribute what, who's going to pay each other back. Lots of family arguments erupt just over this topic in and of itself. Also, we will not have potentially adult children or a step parent arguing with step kids over what's going to happen. Are you going to be buried here? Are you going to be buried there? Are you going to be cremated? So when we have a prepaid plan, we have left behind what exactly is going to happen. I'm going to be buried in this cemetery with this headstone next to my parents, next to my spouse, whatever the case may be, or I've already paid for my cremation. I'm going to be cremated, and I've left instructions of what I want to be done with my ashes. So when we do this, we're, number one, I think saving money in the long run, particularly, if you're of an age where you may live another 15, 20, 25, 30 years, things get more expensive as time goes on. So if in 2022 you pay for a cremation or a burial, the chances that that's going to be a lot less expensive than paying for that in 2042, for example, are really high. You're also cutting out, like I said, a lot of potential arguments between family members, stress among family members. Another thing is this, and I'm going to have to say I've not experienced this myself, but I've heard from people over the years that sometimes they feel like when they're in that situation where the parent or the spouse doesn't have anything prepaid, pre-planned, they go to a funeral home, they feel sometimes that maybe they're being upsold, okay? You're very emotional, you're nervous, you just feel like I gotta get something done. And I think the possibility of maybe being upsold is a realistic one. And I've heard that from some people, that they felt like that happened to them. So when you prepay for your plan, your family's not going to get upsold. They're not going to buy another $18,000 worth of things and arrangements at the funeral home because that will all have been picked out in advance. It will all have been paid for in advance. So I always tell people, when you leave a good comprehensive estate plan behind, you're giving a gift to your family. That is a gift to your spouse. That is a gift to your adult children. Same thing with prepaid burial and funeral plans. When you leave behind a prepaid burial and funeral plans, you are leaving behind a gift, the gift of not having to handle something, not having to pay for something. So I want to encourage all of you guys to take advantage of that. Thanks so much.